So the ATF just announced that their new rule banning pistol braces will drop this year, and this comes despite the recent Supreme Court ruling in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruen. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think the ATF needs to be abolished, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. Also want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Aventon. Aventon is an e-bike maker that has been in the business since 2011. Aventon offers a wide range of models, with each e-bike being meticulously designed to suit a variety of riding needs and riding styles. I'm really excited to receive mine. It's coming in just a couple weeks, and I'm really excited to try it out because it's going to be the first e-bike I will ever have. The company told me that one of their main goals is to provide a quality bike that they sell to everybody at a price point that's accessible to everybody. So if you guys are interested in trying out an e-bike, take a look at Aventon. I will leave a link to them down in the detail section, and thank you again, Aventon, for sponsoring this video. So like I said in the intro, we just received news about when the ATF will release their new rule, which effectively will ban pistol braces. This is something some may have missed, since right now there's a lot going on in regards to the Supreme Court's recent ruling in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruen. But in the wake of this Second Amendment decision, this landmark decision by the Supreme Court, the ATF just indicated in a different lawsuit that they plan to release their final rule on pistol braces this year. So let's talk about this indication of when they will release the pistol brace rule, when they will release this ban on pistol braces, and how it will be impacted by the Supreme Court's recent ruling in Bruen. Now, if you don't recall, the ATF recently announced two proposed rules, and that happened last year. One targeted 80%ers, or so-called ghost guns as they call them, and the other targets any firearm with a pistol brace attached to it. This year, we saw the ATF release their final rule on frames and receivers that will go into effect in mid-August. That new rule by the ATF makes 80%er part kits subject to serialization and background checks when it takes effect. It also does some other things, but the major impact of that new rule is focused on 80%er kits. In contrast, the proposed rule on pistol braces seeks to create a new rule where any firearm with a pistol brace attached to it will likely be considered an SBR and be subject to NFA requirements. This means that the ATF wants to make all firearms with a pistol brace attached to them subject to registration and taxation under the NFA. This ATF proposed rule on pistol braces created a weird report card system where you would have to add up points to your card based on the features that you have attached to your firearm. This system essentially led to any firearm with a brace attached to it being considered an SBR. The way that the point system worked, essentially if you had a brace on it, it would automatically get enough points to where it would be considered an SBR, and you would have to register it and subject it to taxation under the NFA. Now, last year, the DOJ also released a statement on their intent of why they are putting in place this pistol brace rule. They stated, "The Department of Justice is planning to propose to amend the regulations of the ATF to set forth factors considered when evaluating firearms with an attached stabilizing brace to determine whether they are considered firearms under the NFA or under the GCA, the Gun Control Act. This rule is intended to clarify when a rifle is intended to be fired from the shoulder and to set forth factors that the ATF considers when evaluating firearms with an attached purported stabilizing brace to determine whether these are rifles under the GCA or NFA, and therefore whether they are firearms subject to the NFA. The new rule will amend the definition of rifle in 27 CFR 478.11 and 479.11, respectively, by adding a sentence at the end of each definition. The new sentence would clarify that the term rifle includes any weapon with a rifled barrel and equipped with an attached stabilizing brace that has objective design features and characteristics that indicate that the firearm is designed to be fired from the shoulder, as indicated on ATF Worksheet 4999. So after the ATF released their proposed rule, we had that period where we could comment on it and oppose that proposed rule. It's still moving forward, and since then we've been waiting to see when exactly this proposed rule or this final rule would actually hit. Well, we just found out directly from the ATF in a lawsuit when they will drop this final rule. In a lawsuit against the ATF brought by the Second Amendment Foundation, the ATF stated in response to the court, on May 21st, 2021, defendants, with plaintiff's consent, moved to stay the proceedings in this matter in light of the President's announcement that the U.S. Department of Justice would be issuing a proposed rule to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle subject to the requirements of the NFA. On June 10, 2021, defendants published in the Federal Register a proposed rule on factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces. That was the proposed rule. The proposed rule provided for a 90-day public comment period during which the agency received 211,564 comments. The agency has since processed all those comments and is presently in the process of drafting the final rule, which includes preparing responses to comments and engaging in other deliberative activities. The agency currently expects to publish a final rule in December of 2022. So there, the ATF just announced that the final rule on pistol braces, targeting pistol braces and getting rid of their use on any rifle, is expected to drop this year in December. Now, the hope was that the ATF and other government agencies would be hesitant to move forward with firearms regulations in the wake of the recent Supreme Court ruling in Bruen, but the ATF appears to be operating as usual and is still proceeding forward with this ban on pistol braces. Now, you may be asking yourself at this point if this ATF pistol brace ban will be impacted by that recent Supreme Court ruling, and the answer to that is obviously yes. One of the key holdings of the Supreme Court in that decision in Bruen was the type of analysis that a government regulation is now subject to. A regulation by a government must meet the text as informed by history and tradition standard as outlined in Bruen. Justice Thomas in that opinion stated to justify its regulation, the government may not simply posit that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, the government must demonstrate that the regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearms regulations. Only if a firearms regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition may a court conclude that the individual's conduct falls outside of the Second Amendment's unqualified command of shall not be infringed. So under that ruling in Bruen, the ATF's public interest that the new rule was completely built on is now irrelevant. The ATF said they needed this new rule to protect the public from these dangerous firearms with pistol braces on them. That whole government interest to justify this ban and this new rule is now completely invalid under the Supreme Court's ruling. Instead, the ATF must prove that their regulation adheres to the history and tradition of this nation. That is the new test when it comes to these Second Amendment violations. The ATF will have to show that at the time of the founding and ratification, there were government regulations banning attachments to firearms, or maybe even banning smaller types of rifles like SBRs or any type of rifle with a pistol brace on it. Somehow they're going to have to prove some sort of regulation exists that's analogous to what they're trying to do here to justify their ban on pistol braces. If they can't point to some historical analog, then the regulation is completely invalid and must be thrown out. So we already knew that if the ATF introduced this new rule on pistol braces, they would be sued immediately. There are a ton of gun rights organizations that were already planning to sue the ATF, but now with the Supreme Court's recent ruling, the text, history, and tradition standard that they outlined in that decision gives even greater hope and leverage to strike down this new rule when the ATF introduces it. But as of right now, the ATF is proceeding forward with the pistol brace ban, and they plan to release it before the end of this year. So this is something we definitely will be keeping our eyes on. I didn't want this to get lost in all the noise right now because there are a lot of things going on in the Second Amendment world. I have a whole list of videos that I still need to make and get to, but I didn't want you guys to lose track of this. This is still something that's happening. The ATF is still moving forward with their ban on pistol braces. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you guys like this video and support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and a signal to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever on my own. So again, thank you so much for all of your support. And as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will maintain by armed scholars.